Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Monday, the 16th of October. Good to have you aboard. We are part of the Believe Podcast Network. And of course, everything ZASLOW Show 2.0 presented by our title sponsor, Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. If you're dealing with a personal injury, you've had an accident, it could be slip and fall, motorcycle, boating accident, car accident. Maybe you're dealing with a medical malpractice situation. Well, in the state of Florida here, Florida boasts some of the highest medical malpractice payouts in the country, and their team at Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys, they want to help you get the money that you deserve. Contact them now, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. We are almost through week 6 of the NFL season. I almost skipped ahead. We are almost through week 6 of the NFL season. Tonight, you have Chargers, Cowboys, Monday Night Football. The Dolphins, of course, improved to what is now a league best 5-1 on the season. And with football being in full swing, you guys know Bet Online, your number one information source for all your sports wagering info, with all the up-to-the-minute stats, news, scores, matchup breakdowns. Get the latest game odds. Be ready for Monday Night Football tonight. All the spreads, the totals, for all your NFL, for all your college football action. It's at your fingertips with BetOnline's real-time updates on stats, news, and odds all through the college football playoff, all through the Super Bowl. BetOnline gives you access to the best football promotions and contests available anywhere online. Head to the BetOnline website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Remember to use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, and you're going to get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. So, glad to have you aboard here. I got to start off with a little bit of house cleaning here, as I apologize for the end of last week. So on Friday morning, I'm starting to do this show, and here, I'll lay you behind the scenes a little bit. I'm about to have our friend Ruthie Polinsky from NBC Chicago on the show, catch up with her, do a little football talk with her, and right as we're starting the Zoom meeting so I could tape the guest, I lose internet in my house. And all right, fine. So I could still do my show. I could still record my ZASLOW Show 2.0. And when the internet gets restored, there was a neighborhood outage. And, maybe that would only take a couple hours. Remember, this is Friday morning. So I record the show, and I even say at the beginning of the show, and the show is available right now, wherever you're listening to ZASLOW Show 2.0, however you get your podcast. The show is available right now. It's called Better Late Than Never. That was Friday's show. My internet was not restored again until Saturday night. I was able to record my whole show. I couldn't have a guest on because that takes internet. I was able to record my whole show, and I even say at the beginning of the show, guys, I'm recording this right now. I don't know if you're ever going to hear it. And if you are hearing it right now, then the internet's back up and running. My internet didn't get going again until late Saturday night. And Sunday, I had a super busy day, and we'll get to that in a second. So I was only able to post Friday's show Sunday afternoon. So you may be waking up today, and you got a couple episodes of ZASLOW Show 2.0. This episode that you're listening to right now is today's show, Monday's show. But I guess you got a little bit of a bonus episode titled Better Late Than Never, where, I told you all the big games and the not big games. We talked about Thursday Night Football. Whatever else I got to me, it was 3 days ago. I hardly remember the shows. They all intertwine, all right? I have a very difficult time remembering from one day to the next. But I figured, like I said, better late than never. We'll put the show out. And, yeah, so you kind of get a double dose of ZASLOW Show 2.0 today. Now, so I apologize. The internet took till Saturday, like 11 p.m. Saturday night. I had to watch, now luckily, I was out, I had soccer all day on Saturday, and then I had to go somewhere else late night. We were in Coral Springs the whole weekend, so I was able to catch, like, the last half of the Canes game, by the time I got home, because we got home really late on Saturday nights. But I wouldn't have been able to even watch the Canes game here if I got home in time. We were at soccer all day, soccer tournament for my son's soccer team, Weston Select U15 2009 boys. But we were gone the whole night anyway. If I was home, I wouldn't even have been able to watch the Canes game, because that's the thing now. Like, you guys know, I cut the cord, got rid of cable a little more than 3 years ago. Great decision. But because the entire house now is so reliant on the internet, we couldn't watch any kind of television for like 2 days. It's all connected, so we had to watch like on our phone if we want, because you get the 5G, the cellular service, you know? And yeah, so it was a disaster this weekend as far as the internet situation. So I apologize you guys weren't able to get the show Friday. It did come out yesterday, so you got a little bit of a double little bonus episode if you want as far as ZASLOW Show 2.0. Big thanks to everyone who came by yesterday. I told you we had the Johnny Cuba, ZASLOW Show 2.0 tailgate at the Dolphin game yesterday morning. Big success. Very big success. So many people came by. We were giving out, we had cases. My man Willie, of course, Juan, Johnny Cuba's his. Juan was there with his whole family, his wife Myra. Their kids were all there. We had a massive crew, all right? You had the big Johnny Cuba tent. You had the signage. We had a bar. We were giving out Johnny Cubas. We had cases of Johnny Cuba. We couldn't give out as much. We couldn't give out enough, People are coming by. We're giving Johnny Cuba. So you guys already know. If you're looking for Johnny Cuba, if you've never tried it, your local Sedano's, Fresco y Mas, Winn-Dixie, Presidente, you go pick up a 6-pack of Johnny Cuba, and you're going to say, ZASLOW, this is my new favorite beer. It's so delicious. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I've been telling you about it for about a year now. So thanks to everybody who came by to the tailgate yesterday. We had a great time. And of course, my man Raul, Are You Hungry Grill, he was out there with us, the whole setup. It was catered. We had so much food. It was awesome. It was a great time. So again, thanks to everybody who came out and had a good time with us yesterday, tailgating, Dolphins, Panthers. Dolphins took that ass, of course. And I got to tell you something. So I haven't done like a proper tailgate in God knows how long. I'm 42 years old now. And, you know, when we talk about tailgating, all right, plenty of Dolphin game. For a 1 p.m. Dolphin game, we'll show up at 11, 11:30. Get together with some buddies who have the setup. They're doing their tailgates, sometimes my cousins. So, great, have a good time. I haven't done like this in, I couldn't even tell you how long. So, I got to the stadium when the gates opened. Got there with Johnny Cuba. We had the whole crew there. We're ready to set up. We got there inside the gates. They're letting people in about 8:30. So like 8:20, 8:30 a.m. We're in there. We're setting up. Doesn't take long to set up. But the point is, you got all these other cars that are coming in, all these other trucks, pickup trucks. They all got their grills and the whole deal. And at 8:30 a.m., 8:45 a.m., everyone is setting up. And it's like the production for all of these tailgates. I know a lot of you guys are listening right now like, ZASLOW, yeah, we do this every week. I don't understand who has the energy for all of this. And then if you're doing it on a Saturday for the Canes and then the next day, Sunday for the Dolphins. Now look, I think it's really cool and I could totally see the communal environment, the communal atmosphere. You all set up in like the same row, same aisle, the same spots every week. And it's like a family type deal. Really cool. But man, like the effort that goes into this every single week. And you set up, you know, we're all set up. We got the catering's getting ready to go. We got the big grills. We got the bar. It's 9 a.m. now. Everyone is starting to drink. The game doesn't start for 4 hours. Who has the energy for this every single week? Like I said, had a great time. But man, you guys who are doing this every single week, God bless. You're the best fans. You really are. Because besides that, you know, your season tickets are thousands of dollars. That means also every single week, every home game, hundreds of dollars. You're spending to put on these awesome tailgate parties and putting the grill together and then breaking it all down and cleaning it and putting it all away. It's a production. So, had a great time yesterday, but man, I kept saying to myself, I can't believe the people who are doing this every single week. You guys are doing it right. I guess you got it down to a science. You know what you're doing. Because, man, it was lit out there. By 9:30 a.m., place is bouncing. Like I said, I haven't done a proper tailgate like that in years. And you guys know what you're doing. And the weather was really nice, too. Wasn't too hot. It was a really good deal. So, shout out Johnny Cuba, one of our best sponsors here, ZASLOW Show 2.0. Are You Hungry Grill? My man Raul, he was doing it right there yesterday, too. Oh, my God, the burger's so good. So, anyway, thanks to everybody who came, everybody who hung out with us. Now, and also, big thank you, too, to you guys who were listening to me on Friday night. I did ESPN Radio, filled in on Amber and Ian. So, I was co-hosting with my girl, Amber Wilson. Honestly, and it really shouldn't be a surprise because, Amber was my co-host for over 5 years, right? Shouldn't be a surprise. I think it's the best show that I've done so far on ESPN Radio, what we did on Friday night. It was, I felt so good about it. It was so much fun. We had a lot to talk about. The 3 hours go by so quick. Matter of fact, for the next 3 weeks, the next 3 Sundays, I'm doing ESPN Radio Game Day. So we're going to be on from 1 to 4 p.m. on Sunday. And that's like red zone on the radio. Just bouncing around from game to game, updates everywhere. So for the next 3 Sundays, I'm doing Game Day 1 to 4 p.m. I hope you guys can listen. And actually, the timing of being asked to do that is perfect because, I won't be on during the Dolphin game this Sunday because the Dolphins are Sunday Night Football. The week after that, I will be on during the Dolphin game. They're hosting New England, so I'll have the Dolphins on while I'm doing the show. And then the week after that, the Dolphins are playing 9:30 in the morning, right? 9 a.m., 9:30 in Germany. So that game will end, and then I'm hosting ESPN Game Day. So the timing's actually really good as far as the Dolphins schedule. I hope you guys listen this weekend. I'm doing the show with Herm Edwards. But if you were listening on Friday, Amber and Ian, I filled in for Ian Fitzsimmons doing the show with Amber Wilson. And you may be saying, ZASLOW, how'd you do the show if your internet was out? Yeah, around 3 p.m., I gathered all the equipment here. I was like, I got to go drive to Aventura. I got to go to my mother's. I'm going to do the show from there. And I did. So I did the show from my mother's condo in Aventura. And it went amazing, right? How you could do these live radio shows just wherever you want. I picked up all the equipment. I set it up over there. Easy peasy. So thanks to everybody who listened to us Friday night. It's as good as I felt about doing a show on ESPN Radio. And really just so much fun. I love working with Amber. Okay, so anyway, that's a little bit of house cleaning we wanted to get out of the way to start the show. We do have breaking news, which just happened a little while ago, and we'll circle back to it. Kim Ng, now former Marlins general manager. Shocking, right? Kim Ng, no longer the general manager of the Marlins. She has essentially stepped down. And we'll get to that. We'll get to those details. We got Panthers, who are 0-2. Sucks. Back in action tonight. We'll get to that. We'll get to a little bit of that coming up also. Miami Hurricanes. Miami Heat last night. They win preseason style. Now 2-1 in the preseason, the Heat. But obviously, we are starting out. And, by the way, we got our Week 6 NFL rundown brought to us, as always, by Brunt Insurance. That's coming up in a few moments as well. Let's start with the Dolphins, though. So, we got... I got the Johnny Cuba tailgate, Matt, and then straight from the tailgate yesterday. Why didn't you stay for the game, ZASLOW? My son had a tournament, Soccer Locker Cup in Coral Springs. My son had a tournament all weekend. So I went straight from the stadium in the morning to meet them out in Coral Springs for the championship game. They won the championship. They went undefeated for the weekend. It was really cool. My son, though, is still dealing with an injury. He couldn't participate, which sucks. But the team won. They went 4-0, and they won the championship for the weekend. So that's really neat. I'm bummed that my son didn't feel part of it. That part makes me sad. I'm hurt about that. But anyway, we're hoping he'll be back in the lineup. Not this weekend, but the week after, we're hoping he'll be back in goal. He has a broken finger, if you didn't know. I told the story last week. So anyway, Yeah, so I'm watching the Dolphin game on my phone at this tournament, at the championship game. And look, here's the bottom line. I liked the Dolphins seeing some adversity yesterday. It was rather shocking they were down 14-0. Panthers open up with a punt. Dolphins open up 3 and out. Super uncharacteristic. I mean, I feel like it's been every game this year the Dolphins' opening drive results in a touchdown. They go 3 and out. Panthers score. Dolphins punt again. Panthers score. It's like, whoa. So 14-0. Look, I like that they saw some adversity and down 14-0 at halftime. And then they score 42 consecutive points. 42 consecutive points. Here's the thing. When you are clearly a great team, you cannot get tripped up against lesser teams. It can't be one of those deals where it's the NFL, any given Sunday, you could beat anybody, you could lose to anybody. No. If you're a great team, you don't lose to the lesser teams. And if the Dolphins want to show that they're a great team, they faced some adversity yesterday, down 14-0, and instead of getting tight, they're just like, all right, we got 3 quarters left in this game. Let's get our act together. It's a full game, and our offense, we are so good that through the course of an entire game, 14-0, not that big of a deal. So I like that they faced some adversity yesterday, and if you are going to be a great team, which the Dolphins clearly are a great team, then you need to face some adversity and be able to overcome. And that's exactly what they did. And most important, I know they're now an 0-6 Panther team, but the bigger point to me is, if you're a great team, you don't get tripped up by the lesser teams. That's why going into the Buffalo game, it was like, and that game sucked. They lost by 4 touchdowns. But losing at Buffalo, there's no shame in that. That's a really good team. That's maybe a great team. But for instance, Buffalo's 2 losses, and they almost lost last night. They probably should have lost last night. Buffalo's 2 losses are to Jacksonville and London. That's a bad loss. And at home to the, at the Jets, the first game of the season, when they're shell-shocked with Aaron Rodgers leaving after 4 plays. Those are bad losses. And they almost lost again last night. The Dolphins don't have any of those. Obviously, the game against Buffalo was ugly, but losing at the Bills, a divisional rival, a Super Bowl contender, there's no shame in that. The shit teams that the Dolphins have played, Patriots, Panthers, Giants, they're kicking the shit out of these teams. These games are not in doubt late. So if you want to be a great team, you don't get tripped up by these lesser teams. You're not looking ahead to next week in Philadelphia. No, you're taking care of your own business. And the fact of the matter is, all right, they were down 14-0, but nothing changed. They kept doing their thing. And the defense at that point figured it out and gave up no more points the rest of the game. You had Mike White with the stupid pick 6 late in the game. So I liked what I saw from the Dolphins yesterday from a big picture perspective. They have another opportunity next week. By the way, have you seen this Philadelphia Eagles schedule coming up now? And that's why losing that game yesterday, the Eagles at the Jets, you really had to have that game. What do you had to have that game? They're 5-0. They're going to lose the game. Yes, I'm going to show you the Eagles schedule in a second. At the Jets is a game that the Eagles really needed to win when you're considering what's coming up. But anyway, the Dolphins have another huge opportunity now next week. They've beaten the bad teams that they're supposed to. I just listed them for you. The Dolphins so far this year, we're going to find out a lot about our favorite little football team next week, because the Dolphins so far this year are 0-1 in huge opportunities this season. Winning the games you're supposed to win is a major part of being a great team, but you have another huge opportunity next week. You don't want to go 0-2 in your 2 major chances, your 2 major opportunities. Yes, the Dolphins have everybody on notice, but you really put everybody on notice when you get a win at Buffalo. They lost. Or you get a win at Philadelphia. So they're 0-1 so far in major challenges. Beat the teams you're supposed to. Super important. But you got to come away with some wins in your big-time challenges. And that's what the Dolphins are facing next week in Philadelphia. So I'm going to show you here now what this what this Eagles schedule looks like coming up. That was a damaging loss for the Eagles last night. At 5-0, yes, that was a damaging loss for the Eagles because that's a game that you figure with their current schedule you really have to have. So look at the Eagles schedule coming up. They're hosting Miami next week. Then they're at Washington. Then they're hosting Dallas, at Kansas City, hosting Buffalo, hosting San Francisco, at Dallas. There can't possibly be a tougher schedule over the next 7 weeks than what the Philadelphia Eagles have to deal with. Look at this. Miami, at Washington, Dallas, at Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco, at Dallas. That is a brutal stretch. Over those next 7 games for Philadelphia, they only played one team that is not over 500, and it's the Washington Commanders, who are 500, who Philadelphia snuck past a few weeks ago in overtime. So this is a major challenge coming up next week for the Dolphins, but these next 7 games, could the Eagles go 3-4 in those next games? A team that was 5-0, could they be sitting at 0-5 at the end of that stretch? Yeah. So, damaging loss for Philadelphia last night, especially when you consider what San Francisco is doing, who lost their first game as well, for a team that you want to be the only team that gets the bye. You want to get the home field advantage. Damaging loss for the Eagles last night, and obviously you're going to get a fired up team in a crazy atmosphere that the Dolphins are walking into the Lions' Den next Sunday night with a major opportunity. Now, a couple other things that we really liked from the game yesterday. They do, just like I suspected, they do not miss Devon Achane. Not because Achane's not a good player, not because you don't love what he's done so far, but this team is running the football more so because of the work the offensive line is doing and what the passing game opens up for the running game. Those are more the reasons for what this team is doing running the football than what Devon Achane is doing running the football. Raheem Mostert, 117 yards again on the ground. Another multi-touchdown game. 2 on the ground, 1 in the air. This team is running the ball the way they are because of the passing game, setting up that running game, and because of what a great job this offensive line is doing. They do not miss Devon Achane yesterday. They will not miss him for the next couple weeks. He's only expected to miss the 4 games that he's on the injured reserve for. So that's good news. And I don't think they're going to miss him for these next few games moving forward as well. Also, you got Jalen Phillips back yesterday. Bradley Chubb had a sack on the first drive, right? Like the 3rd, 4th play of the game, whatever it was. This defense needs Chubb and Phillips to be difference makers. They seem like they're maybe a month away, mid-November, from Jalen Ramsey making his debut. That's a major thing. You don't need me to tell you about how major that is. But this defense needs Chubb and Phillips to start pulling their weight. Christian Wilkins, so let's do this. After Dolphin wins, you know I give you my dogs. Let me tell you what my dogs were from yesterday's win. I got 2 dogs. Number 1, Christian Wilkins. 2 sacks yesterday, 1 early, 1 late. He has 3.5 sacks on the season now. I think that was his total from last year. You would think that Christian Wilkins is going to have a big year in a contract year. I think it's pretty clear because he had a great game last week and he had a really good game yesterday. I think it's pretty clear now that Christian Wilkins' inactivity the first few weeks of the season has to be because of his lack of activity in training camp and the preseason. He had a great game 2 weeks ago, another really good game yesterday. He's now pulling his weight on that defensive line. So you look at the guys who are supposed to be playmakers, supposed to be difference makers. Wilkins, Chubb, Phillips. Wilkins is now pulling his weight. Phillips just returned yesterday. Chubb did get a sack yesterday. Those guys in the front 7, those guys have to be difference makers whether Jalen Ramsey returns in mid-November or not. So My dogs yesterday, number 1, Christian Wilkins was my dog. And number 2, Raheem Mostert was my dog. Picking up the slack, not even picking up the slack for Achane being gone. Just continuing to do what he does. I mean, guys like Savon Ahmed and Chris Brooks, who got some playing time late, those are the guys who need to pick up the slack for Achane. Mostert just needs to keep doing what he does, and that's running all over the place. So 117 yards yesterday. He was great through the air as well. He had the touchdown early in the game, 3 touchdowns total. I think he has 9 now on the season. And at 31 years old, he is on pace, well on his way for over 1,000 yards in a season, which, believe it or not, he has never had in his career. He's on pace right now for something like 1,300 yards for the season, which would crush his career high, which I think was last year, a little less than 900 yards. So my 2 dogs from yesterday, Christian Wilkins, starting to look like a big-time game changer, and Raheem Mostert continuing to do his thing. And now you got another biggest game in years for the Dolphins next week. Every time they play a big game this year, just like the Buffalo game a few weeks ago, it's the biggest game for this team in years. This is a Super Bowl contending team. Anytime you play a game like this weekend in Philadelphia, it becomes the biggest game they've played in years. So that's what we're setting up for this weekend. And by the way, we have a ZASLOW Show 2.0 poll question today. You can go to @ZASLOW Show. You could vote. You could check that out. Here's what we got. Here's today's question. It's a doozy. ZASLOW Show 2.0 poll. Who is the best team in the AFC? Very controversial. Here's what we got. Who is the best team in the AFC? Your answers are Dolphins, Chiefs, Bills, other. Right now, the leader with 76% of the vote. The Dolphins are the best team in the AFC. The others, Chiefs have 21%, Bills have 2%, other is 1%. I don't know who you're voting for with other, but anyway. This poll is so biased. How could the Dolphins be 76% and the Bills just 2% when the Bills beat them? Like I said, if you're a contending team, you don't get tripped up against the shit teams. The Dolphins have had one bad game this year, and yes, it was head-to-head with Buffalo. So if you want to make the case that Buffalo's better than the Dolphins, you have a leg to stand on. But Buffalo has been tripped up by 2 teams in games they should have won, Jacksonville, New York Jets, and they should have lost last night to the Giants. Dolphins don't have any games like that. Dolphins have one bad performance, and it was a loss to Buffalo. Every other game, they're either kicking the shit out of the teams, or the first game of the year, they get a real good win at the Los Angeles Chargers. So 76% of the people and myself are on the same page. And you know, the Chiefs coming off of Thursday Night Football, this is not the same Chiefs team of years past. I'm not afraid of this Chiefs team when the Dolphins go to Germany and they face Kansas City. To me, the Dolphins are the best team in the AFC right now and tied for the best record in the NFL at 5-1. So you can go vote right now at ZASLOW Show on Twitter. Love getting the participation from you guys. And the Dolphins now at 5-1. Everyone's feeling good here on a Monday morning. You know what also makes all of us feel good? When we wake up in the morning, we're refreshed after getting great sleep. And you know how we're getting great sleep here in the ZASLOW Mansion? I sleep on Sheets and Giggles. SheetsGiggles.com, the only place the ZASLOW family gets their bed sheets from. We got the sheets, we got the pillowcases, the best comforter I've ever slept on in my life. I sleep on a eucalyptus pillow. Not just pillowcase, a eucalyptus pillow. If a koala sleeps up to 18 hours on a eucalyptus tree, how comfortable do you think it is to sleep on a eucalyptus pillow or a eucalyptus mattress? It's time for you to find out. SheetsGiggles.com. Use promo code ZASLOW, ZASLOW, promo code ZASLOW at SheetsGiggles.com, and you're going to get 20% off your first order at SheetsGiggles.com. Guys, everybody wants to wake up feeling refreshed, having the best sleep of their life, and I'm never getting better sleep than I am sleeping on Sheets and Giggles. SheetsGiggles.com, the best sleep of your life on their irresistibly soft eucalyptus sheets. They're not only soft, but also breathable. You could sleep cool and comfortable all night long. Support the sponsors that support the show. That's how we keep everything free for you guys. Sheetsgiggles.com. Use promo code ZASLOW. Get your 20% off your first order.